Back on halftime here, and Clay Henry joining us, publisher, editor, Hawgs Illustrated. Of course, you can read him in Whole Hog Sports. Hear him here on ESPN Arkansas on Morning Rush and on halftime. Clay, what's going on today, man? How are you?
Well, I'm kind of working my way into vacation. You're the last thing I'm going to do for about 6 days. Your show, I should say.
Thank you for clarifying.
Better choice of words. So what do you got planned on vacation? What does Clay Henry do? Because usually you'll fish, like even if it's not vacation. What are you going to do?
Yeah, this is a little different. Right now we've got high water, but I've been really working on my golf game a lot over the last 3 months. Got new Mizuno irons, new PXG driver and 3-wood. Got a new putter. All my stuff was 30 to 40 years old, believe it or not. And so I've kind of worked my way through stuff. Todd Dunaway, who's now at Paradise Valley, has helped me with club fitting. But I lived in Tulsa for 14 years, have a lot of old friends there. And one of my old buddies invited me to come play golf at Southern Hills for a few days. So we're headed to Tulsa this afternoon. And my goal, I shot 81 yesterday at Big Creek Mountain Home, and that's respectable. That's a good course. But my goal is to beat the temperature in Tulsa this week. In other words, if it's 92, I just want to be below that.
Honestly, Clay, if we were out there in Portland, Oregon playing golf, I don't know if I'd be able to beat the temperature there, which has been at 110.
110, yeah.
It's been like 7 years since I even went on a golf course, and I might have golfed 7 times in my life. Still in all, I will posit a guess that I think you would enjoy golfing with me more than you enjoyed golfing with Ty, which is to say you would golf with me a second time.
Ty's okay. I've kind of made a lot out of that, and it wasn't horrible. I knew that at some point in the day it would be over, and you can kind of hang on. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like one of those bad midweek baseball games. It's like 28-2. It's going to be over at some point, and I knew that day would tie. It would be okay.
That's funny, Drew. Those are the games where it's like, and I can picture you maybe like Clay halfway through your 18 holes, thinking, Could we institute some sort of a run rule for this, or like make it a match play so it ends before the 18th hole? Could you figure a way to do it?
Got to play best ball.
He left after 9 holes, so that was really, and I didn't know that at first. It was about on the 6th or 7th hole. He says, "I'm leaving after 9," and I was like, "Yes." That's kind of like somebody just handed you, a double dip of ice cream. I mean, it's just like this is sweet. It just only 9 holes with Ty. And he's getting better at golf, and sometime in the next 30 years he'll be okay.
I hope so. If he's as bad as I've heard, I definitely can take him to the cleaners. As of now, I might want to put some money on the game while I still have a shot at earning it. But Clay, you were on the Morning Rush when we were doing. Ty unveiled his master plan of the week to have the Texas Olympics, and your role in all of that, and I don't see how it builds morale, how it really builds teamwork if we're all against each other.
I'm not against anybody, so there. I'm out since I do both shows. I'm not involved. I'm an innocent bystander, and Ty does some things that you just shake your hand and is like, no, not in a normal world would you do that. So not surprised, And I felt bad that he got you guys up early for that. He didn't really need y'all there to announce that he was going to do that. And just for the record, y'all don't have to participate, Phil, Derek. Y'all don't have to. Just because Ty says something, that's the last reason to have to do it.
We're actually winning right now, so I don't mind it.
To. And, it's like you said, I have something fun planned. I'm like, oh, boy, fun is a really broad term. We'll see just how fun it is. But it's okay.
He's requested to go trout fishing with me, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Good point. Maybe I'm the one who can't say no, and I think I've lived my life like that in some ways. It does leave for an interesting dynamic, though, because I don't think there's anything wrong with friendly competition between shows. And it's the same inside a lot of workplaces too. And name, image, and likeness changes for the NCAA tomorrow. So, there's this ground shift happening underneath college sports, and there's this fear that there will be more personal rivalries based upon how much money some of these guys get. I feel like there already could be rivalries based upon popularity, based upon playing time, that sort of stuff. So I wonder how name, image, and likeness necessarily changes that very much. I'm sure it does. If you're Sam Pittman, Clay, if you're Eric Musselman, if you're a head coach of any program, is there something that you do to try to get ahead of these possible personal rivalries that arise in the locker room because somebody's earning more than another from endorsements?
Yeah, I think it's incredible the different directions and bad, dead ends that this can take. We don't know, but I think if you say, well, no, you can't do that, well, then it'll be used against you in recruiting, right?
Mm.
So you let it go and run its course. I mean, it's, you hope that somebody's motivated by, okay, I got to score more touchdowns. But, here's the thing that you just brought up, football. How about basketball? Mm-hmm. It's like my coach in high school used to say, you guys have kind of drifted into running the I formation. I got it, I shoot it. Mm-hmm. And, it's like, we want to be a pass first team, and you've heard coaches say that. And it's like, do you get more NIL points or dollars for scoring points or making assists? Well, I think probably points. So there's some dynamics of this that I think are just going to be hard to control. And I think, what you said in the locker room, I think it could be a mess.
One major thing that I haven't really seen being discussed or even brought up anywhere when talking about NIL is the transfer portal and how much that's been rampant. Will NIL help the transfer problem and keep people at the school where they're at because they're making money, or will they see money being made somewhere else and transfer there?
Oh, I think it's a nightmare. I think it's just there's so many odd things that can go wrong, and I think you're exactly right that that it could be there can be somebody that just says, I'm bailing because that's where I can go. And I think that schools will probably do a job of explaining exactly how much money each of their players are getting, and this is all you got to do is show up, and this is what you're going to get. In the past, it was pretty much like they were doing it at Tennessee. The money was in a McDonald's sack, right? But it's going to be there'll probably be a website. It's like, this guy's getting X, this guy's getting X. Well, I mean, there's no rule to say you can't do that, right?
No, there isn't. I mean, I don't know if them being players at a public university would make it public record.
Well, I'm just saying that some schools probably want to publicize.
That's true.
If they think their players are getting the most, they sure want it out there, right?
Clay, do you remember, I don't know if this is still a thing, this might have been in the early 90s, the NFL quarterbacks got together and sort of formed their own, I don't know if the term trading block or what it was, but they had their own sort of licensing thing, and it was an NFL quarterbacks club. I kind of wonder if you might eventually see something like that on a smaller scale in college sports. I mean, we're talking about, team by team. What about the idea of, well, let's just call it what that would be, like a unionizing of some sort. It's not real unionizing, but it is collectively coming together to maximize earning potential somehow.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Northwestern's football team tried that, and it was, I think it kind of hung around for a little while. Didn't ever gain traction anywhere else, but they were viewed by establishment as, no, that's not going to happen. Yeah. But I think that, at some point it might happen.
It might happen.
Big government might view that that's the way to handle it. Don't know.
Wouldn't that be interesting? Again, it just feels like Wild West right now.
It is.
877-377-6963. We've got Clay for one more segment. Hey, if you're looking for a trade that's going to make a great living for you and your family, you probably want to look at a career in welding. Graduates of United Welding Institute find great paying jobs everywhere welders are needed. Many make up to $2,000 per week and more. If you're interested but unsure, United Welding Institute is offering a free trial for you to experience. They'll take you through some steps, help you see if welding is for you or not. No strings attached whatsoever. United Welding Institute is in Pottsville. Students from all over the country. Contact them for a free trial at 479-968-3390. Also, UnitedWeldingInstitute.com. Clay Henry with us for this last segment of hour number 1. And, Clay, we got the final game of college baseball tonight. It looked like the rest of the country really cares very much if you're judging on the television numbers. I think it ought to be a good game. I give the edge to Vanderbilt just because of Kumar Rocker. And we were getting into this in the first segment. You don't really have to root for somebody just to watch a game. I don't root for any teams in the World Series. Usually I just root for the thing to go to 7 games and then for the 7th game to go to extra innings.
Yeah,
some people feel differently about that. So if you were going to pick between these two teams, if you felt you had to root for someone, who are you rooting for?
Probably Mississippi State, but it doesn't, I mean, it's, I think there's some arrogance about Vanderbilt. And by the way, I think that the ratings have something to do with having 2 early blowouts. I mean, there was just nothing to hold you in either one of those games. No sense of drama. I mean, neither team was going to use their top line guys at the end. And I think that's the reason why the ratings were. And also, you've also got a lot of things going on at the same time. You've got the NBA playoffs, which generally isn't quite at this stage, I don't think. And you've got, the Euro tournament, in soccer, which I think has been fantastic. I've enjoyed watching some of that. I wanted to watch England and Germany. England very rarely does well against Germany, and so that was an interesting dynamics. But I guess I'm just not a Vanderbilt guy, and some of it is just of late because Tim Corbin is such a bad loser. I don't think he's a bad person. I know some people that think really fondly of him, but every time I've seen him lose, in his in-game interviews are really bad. So, I mean, it's almost like Greg Popovich type stuff. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I don't have a great reason to cheer for Mississippi State, but I guess I hope Vanderbilt loses.
Does it sway you at all in either way? And Drew, you can get in on this too. Although I'm not sure if you understand what the name Jeff Long, when you say that name,
I understand
how that engenders
from
the Razorback fan base. And you have to keep it. He's the one who hired me for the gigs that I've got at Arkansas, so I'm always thankful for that. I understand why some people weren't fans of his at all. As far as I know, Clay, and Jeff Long told me this, he and Tim Corbin were roommates at Wesleyan College in Ohio. Would that sway you in any one direction or the other, although I already know now how you feel about Corbin?
It does not help my thoughts about Tim Corbin.
I didn't think so. I did not think so. All right, I wanted to ask you about this because I listened to the Hog Pod this morning, and they did a great job with Dave Van Horn going through the season. They ended with the juicy stuff about the blow-up with Tony Vitello. Mm-hmm. The fact of the matter is the two of those coaches are not personal rivals. They do not dislike each other. I think they like each other very much. Dave said he called Tony a few days ago to congratulate him on the season. He knew what he was going through after getting knocked out of Omaha and what it felt like. I think the two of them are still very good friends. The programs might be rivals, but they're friends.
Yeah, let me kind of define that. I think they are competitive, intense freaks in that. I mean, both of them are like the other in many ways, in that whether they're recruiting or playing games or coaching, they are intense. And I know Tony was like that before he got here at Arkansas, but he said he learned how to control that and harness that in a positive way by watching Dave. And because we talked about that in his office. So, but to say they're not rivals, I think is they're not enemies, but they are rivals on the field. And they are rivals in recruiting, but they're still friends. Mm-hmm. And you say, well, how can that be? Well, I learned at a really young age watching Darryl Royal and Frank Broyles, who vacation 2 weeks together every summer. they went to Palm Desert and played golf. And when I say play golf, they might play 72 holes in a day.
Wow.
And they would, play speed golf. And it was competitive in nature. And I'm sure there was, dinner at stake. Maybe not high dollars, but, the winner was going to benefit at the end of the day. But then they were fierce rivals in recruiting and on the field. I mean, and to say they were not rivals would be wrong, but they were also very close friends, and you could see them talk before the game in a very friendly manner. But I mean, once the kickoff came, or once they went in a room in recruiting and fought over Lloyd Phillips or something, I mean, that was intense, and you'd have to say they were rivals. So I think the definition is, maybe we've got to work a little bit on how we use that word.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that they wish anything bad on the other, I guess is my point.
Yeah, and Clay, the longer I've been in this business, the more you learn and you kind of see behind the curtain and learn that most of these guys actually have a lot of respect for each other. Most of them don't hate each other. Most of them are pretty good friends and talk to each other often. Is there a coach that you can remember from the Arkansas perspective, whether it's football, basketball, or baseball, that truly did actually hate most of the people he was going up against personally?
Yeah, I mean, I think Petrino had some of that where the intensity, slipped into kind of a dark area sometimes. And, you saw it bubble out, I think in the LSU series when he looked across the field. I guess that was Les Miles, and it was not, a friendly way at all, like at the end of the game or whatever. I saw some stuff between Nick Saban and I'm going blank, the Michigan coach. Help me. Football.
You thinking Harbaugh?
Yeah, Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Where they went after each other, and some things happened at the very end of games where you could see Saban wanted to punish him. It was kind of after Harbaugh had the camps in the South, and he'd taken his team to Italy or whatever. I can't wherever he went.
I think it was Italy.
Yeah, and then when Saban had a chance to punish them at the end of a game, they hammered it in, wanted to score one more touchdown, and that was a little past. Well, that's not a friendly rivalry. I'll say one at Arkansas: Eddie Sutton and Abe Lemons. Basketball. Abe was head coach at Texas, and there was some bitterness there and some things that were said and done that you knew that one disliked the other and enjoyed, putting a little extra on them at the end of a game if they could.
I remember one that I don't know if it resonated here. You'll remember the names. Pitt basketball, Villanova basketball. This always went into recruiting. When you're talking about rivalries and hatred between coaches, so often it's about recruiting specifically. Raleigh Massimino and Paul Evans hated each other because of how each of them recruited the same player, Bobby Martin, and that spilled off the court a couple of times. And usually when it does come to, I really can't stand how that guy does things, I think it comes down to recruiting more often than not. And just sometimes you're in a home, and all at once, instead of recruiting for your school, you're saying bad things about the other coach or the other school. And that's the part that is really unfortunate. You say, well, you shouldn't have negative recruiting. Well, I don't recall too many that don't. And they may say they don't, but it slip in. I've heard stories about Ed Orgeron, the way he recruits, and it is not nice. So, anybody that says that they like Ed Orgeron or wish him to do well, I don't, because I've heard some things that he said to recruits, and there's only one person that knows. It's the family. There's the family, and then him. They know, and but when you sign one of those players that was an intense battle, and they come to your school and they
they lay it out. This is what Ed Orgeron said about y'all. Well, then it's probably true if it happens several times.
Yeah, you do. And when you talk about negative recruiting, the thing that gets me is it's not the pointing out the obvious, some of the flaws that, you look inward and you see, okay, yeah, maybe our locker room isn't as nice. Maybe we have Pepsi instead of Coke or something as minute as that. It's the lying that gets to me, and I think that's what your big deal is with Ed O. Is that he lies a lot about it, or
Clay? Well, that's something we might have to get into in another segment because we're coming up against the hard break here. But I can see where you're coming from on that too. Hey, Clay, have a great vacation, man. Appreciate you.
We'll look forward to. I'll be with y'all next Wednesday, and you can tell me how badly you're beating Ty at that point, right?
Okay, yes, absolutely. Like a blonde-headed morning show host. It's Clay Henry on halftime here with us.
Don't be negative, though. Don't be negative.
No negative recruiting on this station, never.
All right, guys.
877-377-6963. Halftime's back after this with a second hour.